the NFC East for the second time in 3 years, and they have eliminated the Dallas Cowboys.
It just goes to show the resiliency of this football team, this coaching staff. There's always a fight in this team, and I love these guys.
And we ain't gonna quit. We're gonna go into the playoffs, the next man up. Wow. Eagles crowned the NFC East champions last night at MetLife Stadium. Quite the scene indeed for the Birds. So here's the road they will face in the upcoming postseason. It starts with a home game Sunday night against the Seahawks at 4:40 on NBC 10. If they advance, they will move on to face either the Packers or the 49ers. And on that note, we're up and running as we welcome you to the playoff edition of Quick Slants presented by Nissan on this Monday with the Hall of Famer Didinger and Derrick Gunn. And man, what a way to close out the regular season and roll into the playoffs for a third straight season, Ray. Now, be honest, you were like me. You didn't think this was going to happen, did you?
No, I really didn't. I got to be total disclosure, total honesty. No, I didn't. I really thought coming out of Miami,
yeah.
I just thought it wasn't going to happen. And we all recognized what the NFC East was or wasn't this year.
Sure.
It was certainly there to be won, but at that point I didn't see any way this team was going to put together a run. But here they are.
Every week I'm wondering who's next. I mean, this is a team decimated by injuries.
Yeah.
You lose to a team like Miami, and I'm like everybody in the region. Okay, it's over. We can start looking ahead to who they need to delete, who they need to add. But wait a minute. Dallas wouldn't win a division. And they kept inching closer. We're thinking, we went from no way to, is it possible? Mm-hmm. And here we stand. We're talking about this team in the playoffs.
It really is true. I mean,
wow.
It's a good news, bad news. I mean, the good news is
sure.
They're in the playoffs for a third straight year, which is no small accomplishment.
No question.
The bad news is, I think you're going to have to build a wing onto your blue medical tent because every week guys just more and more guys keep going down.
Exactly. All right, Doug Peterson today discussed the pride he felt watching this team down the stretch.
I just think where we are putting ourselves in this position to play for the NFC East yesterday, and I'm proud of the leadership of the football team, the veteran guys that really have kept this team together, through all of it. And then to win the game yesterday and win the NFC East, put ourselves in the postseason. So quite a few things to be proud of with this football team.
All right, check out the shirts the Eagles had to celebrate their division championship in the locker room. Here are the defensive backs showing them off. They read, "The East is not enough." So, Ray, I ask you this question. Is the East enough? Is this a season of success already, considering what they've been through, or do they need more?
Oh, you need more.
Really?
Oh, sure. I mean, who's going to brag about winning the 2019 NFC East?
True.
With what this division was.
True.
This wasn't the heavyweight division of pro football. Okay, you won it. Okay, and terrific, great. I'm glad you did. Glad you got your shirts. I'm glad you got your hats. But nobody's going to be bragging about winning this division 5 years from now or even 5 hours from now.
Right.
It's all about getting in the tournament and seeing what you can do there. And we all know what they're up against. I mean, it's and nobody's going to give them a chance of going all the way, but nobody's giving them a chance to get this far. So no, and I'm sure they're not looking at it as if look what we accomplished. No, what you're going to really accomplish is what you're going to accomplish starting Sunday.
I think to a certain degree, up to this point, this has been a tremendous success story. Mm-hmm. They didn't just lose players. They lost frontline players, Pro Bowl type players. And I mean, devastated at wide receiver, decimated on the right side of the offensive line. Your Pro Bowl tight end, your leading pass receiver is not there. We've watched enough football. I've covered this game for over 4 decades, Ray. You've covered it a lot longer than I have. I can't remember a team with this many injuries rising to the occasion. Now, I will add this, that the NFL schedule god makers did this team a favor by stacking the back end of the schedule the way they did. Okay, they lost a game to Miami. I think that was a wake-up call because they haven't lost a game since. But I do think to a certain degree that helped them get to this point. But you look at the last 4 games, and each one of those games, they could have folded, Ray.
Oh, sure.
There's no question they could have folded. And they rallied around a cause and somehow, some way, with players we never heard of, we didn't know much about, guys on the street.
That's true.
They implement these guys, and the team plays better in a lot of ways than when they had the frontline players. And so here they stand, champs of the division, that we thought, as we said off the top of the show, we didn't think they would come close to at this point. I agree with you. Now that you got a little taste, you want the whole bottle.
Oh, sure.
You know, there's no question about it. But I do think we have to look at this, to in a certain degree, as a success story. I think it's a great story. We don't know how long the story is going to last, but I think up to this point, it's a great story to write and to talk about, at least in recent years. Maybe in the long term, we won't look at it.
Yeah, I mean, give them full props, and I am. I'm giving them all the credit in the world for what they accomplished, because it was truly an against all odds kind of story. But if you're sitting where they're sitting right now, you're not happy. You're not happy with just 9-7 in this division. You got to move ahead. And listen, I mean, you look. There was a 9-7 Giants team that snuck into playoffs, and nobody took them seriously either. And they went down the road and they took down the undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl. So it can happen. And if you're the Eagles, that's where you got to set your sights.
All right. Now, as has been the story all season, the Eagles suffered another major blow on the injury front. Brandon Brooks has been ruled out for the remainder of the season. Jeez. After dislocating his shoulder on an extra point. He was carted off the field during the win over the Giants. Brooks was named to his third consecutive Pro Bowl this season and has been one of the most dominant guards in the entire NFL. The Eagles really resemble a mass unit. On the left are all the players you're going to see who did not even suit up for the game yesterday. On the right side, guys who were forced from the game. Doug Peterson said today that Miles Sanders and Avonte Maddox could be back, and let me emphasize again, could be back this week. Ditto for Lane Johnson and Zach Ertz. Right, when you look at that list of walking wounded, who do they need back the most?
You know what? I'm probably going to surprise you by saying this.
Okay.
I think Lane Johnson.
Really?
Yeah, because I think kind of my first impulse was Miles Sanders.
Yep.
I think a lot of people's impulse would be Miles Sanders.
No question.
Because he's been that good and that instrumental in this run. But look, we all know that Doug wants to throw the ball more than run the ball. And yesterday, Miles Sanders got hurt early, only had 9 touches, and he still won the game. I look over the whole of Lane Johnson's career, and I look at their record when he plays versus when he doesn't play.
Sure.
And I know what you're going to be facing with Seattle with those edge pass rushers they got. I know you're going to be throwing the ball. There's no question. I mean, you're going to come out. Wentz is going to throw the ball 40-plus times. And Lane Johnson, if he's healthy, is going to play every snap. Miles Sanders will be in a rotation. Give me a healthy Lane Johnson.
I got to go with Miles Sanders.
Okay. I think most people will.
I think when you look at what he's done for this run game and forced Doug, after the kid kept getting better and getting better, stay committed to the run game because of this kid being so explosive. What he does he's the catalyst. He's the catalyst to this offense. I know it starts with Carson Wentz, but I think the Carson Wentz is 1 and he's 1A in terms of what this offense now is. He's averaging 4.6 yards per carry, 10.2 yards per reception. When you look at his overall touches, 229 touches, he's got over 1,300 all-purpose yards. He's averaging almost 6 yards per touch. That keeps the chains moving. He can take a 5-yarder, turn it into 15, and 15 into 30, and take a 30-yarder to the house. I think that's what this backfield has been missing in a lot of ways.
No question.
Not just this season, but last couple of seasons. And he gives you that now. And it's a completely different offense when he's not in there. But kudos to Doug for recognizing this kid's ability. You know, we always talk about one man's injury being another man's opportunity. And the best thing that happened for him was Jordan Howard getting injured. Because if Jordan Howard was healthy, I don't know if we would have seen this Miles Sanders in 2019. But because he has emerged and continues to be a home run hitter and a threat every time he touches the ball, I think that's going to affect the overall flow of their offense now that they're in a playoff mode situation.
Yeah, well, I think that's for sure.
Yeah.
And, you know, I look at Boston Scott, and I look, you got Jordan Howard back now. I think you can make do with them.
Okay.
Would I love to have a healthy Miles Sanders? Absolutely. I'll sign up for that right now. But if posing the question the way you posed it to me, if I could take one of those guys and get him back on the field on Sunday, I'll always take Lane Johnson.
Okay, I'm not going to disagree with you. All right, Carson Wentz helped carry this group of cast-offs all the way to the playoffs, and in doing so, he set some records along the way in the process. He became the Bears' single-season passing leader, eclipsing the 4,000-yard mark. He also set the standard for completions in a season for the Eagles, and for the third straight year, he topped 20 touchdowns and threw 7 or fewer picks. But Ray, this will be his first playoff experience. How do you expect him to perform?
I expect him to perform very well. I think right now he is playing. You know, it's hard to say he was playing at the same level he played in 2017, because in 2017 he was the MVP in my mind.
Yeah.
But he's right there. And when you consider the magnitude of these games and the way he's been winning them in the fourth quarter, I mean, in one case winning them in overtime, and completing 80% of his passes in the process, yeah, I think he's going into the playoffs in a really good place right now. And the other thing is, Seattle, you look at the Seattle defense, this isn't the Seattle defense of old. It's not even close. 27th in the league against the pass. And, you know, what they are is they have become, as opposed to being a physically intimidating kind of defense, shutdown kind of defense, they've now become a defense of opportunism. They rank way up in the league in takeaways. They're third in the league. They're taking the ball away 32 times. But Carson Wentz is not a guy who's going to throw interceptions.
Right.
In this 4-game winning streak, he hasn't thrown an interception. But he's been very good in the red zone. And the Seattle defense, while it's really good on takeaways, is very poor in the red zone. And so the Eagles are converting, in this 4-game winning streak, again, the 4-game winning streak, they're converting 80% of their red zone opportunities into touchdowns, which is the best in football over that period. And the Seattle Seahawks rank near the bottom in terms of red zone defense. So if you ask me, how do I expect Carson Wentz to perform in this game, given the way he's playing right now, given the confidence he has, given the confidence his teammates have on him in those situations, and the fact he's going against a defense that thrives on interceptions and he's not throwing them, yeah, I think he's in pretty good shape this week.
And I think he's going to be jacked up as well, because don't think it's not in the back of his mind that he's heard the comments and seen the comments about this team would be better off with Nick Foles and better off trying to trade him during the offseason, this past offseason, and the fact that he hasn't been to a playoff game yet. Now it's his team. And it's going to be tougher because he's throwing to a cast of cast-offs in a lot of ways. I hate to say that, but it's going to be tougher, but I think he can rise to the occasion. All right, Super Bowl 54 this year is down among the palm trees in the sunshine. It is Mission Miami. We'll get you set for the Eagles playoff journey with an hour-long special on Thursday at 6:30. Ray and I will both be there. You'll be there, Ray.
I will be fine.
All right, Ray and I will both be there among the cast of characters to break down the Bird Showdown coming up with the Seattle Seahawks. All right, still to come, Doug Peterson has the Eagles back in the playoffs for the third consecutive season. We take you inside the locker room for a speech to the team after clinching that berth on the other side.
And you look back on our season, all the highs and lows and everything, and the feeling that we have right now standing in this locker room, well worth it, right? Yeah. Well worth it. What you guys have battled and put yourself through against good opponents, against good NFC East opponents, all season long. You guys have battled through thick, thin, all the adversity that anybody can throw at you. You faced it and you tackled it, and we're standing here as NFC East champs, man.
Woo! Doug Peterson just continues to deliver when it matters most. In 4 seasons as the Eagles head coach, he has 3 playoff appearances, 2 division titles, and of course had 1 Super Bowl ring. Pretty impressive. Now, Ray, this guy deserves a ton of credit for the success of this team when all of it could have fallen apart.
Absolutely. It really is. I think that he is incredibly underrated. Nationally, but also in the city.
I agree.
I just don't know if the fans here really appreciate what this guy has done. I mean, they heap a lot of credit on the players, as they should. They give Jeffrey Lurie credit for being the winningest owner, which they should. But Doug, I don't know that people really have taken the step back to really look at what he's accomplished, especially coming in as a guy that, let's face it, nobody really wanted.
Exactly.
You know,
Point well taken.
He was not the hot coaching prospect. He was not the boy genius from college. He was not the hot coordinator. He was just a guy. I mean, nobody, other team in the league even wanted to interview him. They brought him in here, and everybody's reaction, including mine, was, huh? Doug Peterson? Really? And all the guy's done is win. And he continues to do it with injuries and prime practice squad guys. The one thing he has a quality about him. It's very hard to define, but players like playing for him, and players play hard for him. Absolutely. And they wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for their coach. Believe me, he has earned every bit of the credit that he's not getting. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. And I think it wasn't that long ago when we were criticizing his play calling when they were 5-7, and all of a sudden he had to change his way of thinking because he had to change the players in the roster. Quick Slants coming back in '97 with the antics of the one and only Brandon Graham.
I know you went against us this week, and I know you did too. And Ohio State lost. Let's go.
Brandon Graham not only continues to harass me after Eagles win, but he also moves into 5th place all time in the Eagles sack department. Pretty impressive for a guy that many had written off years ago as a first-round bust. Well, he stepped to the mic also for a little gun on one as well.
Thank you for letting us get to the first step.
How did I let you get to the first step?
You know how you do it.
Do you understand? Do you understand? I did pick you guys today. You understand this, right? What did I tell you after the last game? I was picking you guys to beat the Giants.
I know when it was 17-17, you was
I was sweating bullets then.
Like, man, what am I doing?
You know what I'm thinking? You know what I'm thinking?
Garbage.
Brandon Graham and these guys are going to blow this game. That's what I'm thinking.
That's what you thinking, huh?
That's what I was thinking. I'll be honest with you.
Hey, I'm glad you being real.
Talk about how you guys were able to negate their big play capability, because the Giants do have a lot of potent weapons in that offense.
No, they do, man. And we knew it wasn't going to be easy. Like, every week is not easy, you know, because everybody's going to give the best, and they know we coming. And so, you know, it's a respect, you know, for both teams. I mean, they respect us just as much as we respect them. And, you know, we just took over in the 4th, and, you know, I just love, all we needed was some turnovers. Hey, man, I know you feeling good. I know you feeling good.
He's talking to a guy walking past us wearing Dallas Cowboys leather jacket.
He's sad.
So,
he's sad.
That guy here is one of a kind. Can't you just let bygones be bygones?
Hey, nah, man, you know.
This guy's ridiculous.
This always going to be this, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Mr. Didinger, you and I have been around a lot of professional athletes. Would you classify his antics in the category of ridiculous?
In a class by himself, that's for sure. I've never, I've been covering this team for,
oh my goodness.
Do you believe it's 50 years this year?
50 years?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, no.
Wow.
I put there's going for the cheap applause here, obviously. But I have never seen, in all the years, and how many hundreds of guys, right?
Sure.
I have never seen an Eagles player that interacts with the media the way this guy does.
Yeah.
I mean, he's unique and incredibly likable.
No question.
I really like him, and I really do respect the fact that, listen, it was not an easy road for him. I mean, he took a lot of lumps in this town, and he hung in there, and he's played his way into the top 5 sack guys, you know, I'm really happy for him, and I'm really, you know, I didn't know that he was going to come back after last year. I kind of thought that it might be over.
Sure.
I mean, that scene in New Orleans where he almost said goodbye to everybody.
Sure he did.
I'm glad to see him back because, let's face it, he's just fun. And you know what? He had another good year.
Here's what you need to know about a Brandon Graham, and I'll never forget this. On the first day of training camp this season, he comes out on the field, he walks down media row, hugs and high fives everybody in the row, whether he knew them or not. That's the one true, genuine personality of Brandon Graham. All right, once again, the Eagles offense was led by guys who started this season on the practice squad. Boston Scott had the hot end of Sunday, racking up more than 130 yards of offense and 3 touchdowns. Greg Ward has emerged as a most reliable receiver, and Deontay Burnett flashed in his first game with the Eagles. Now, do any of these guys have long-term futures in Philadelphia?
First 2 guys for sure.
Yeah.
I think Scott has certainly established himself as, you know, I don't want to start, some people are comparing him to Darren Sproles. I'm not prepared to go there yet, but he's a Sproles-like kind of player that every offense needs. Ward, I think, is just a perfect slot receiver. You and I were saying that all during training camp.
agree.
They got to get this guy in the field.
Yes.
And Burnett, I liked him. I saw him in the 2017 Rose Bowl catch 13 passes for 164 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he can play. I mean, he can play, given the opportunity like he did on Sunday. That was not an easy catch he made down the sidelines. So, you know what? I think they got something in all 3 of those guys.
I'm a huge fan of Greg Ward. I don't think he'll be a star, but I think he can be a solid number 2 and number 3 receiver.
Yeah, I agree.
If not with the Philadelphia Eagles, with somebody. I love his quick twitch off the snap, route running, ability to separate, and most importantly, the one thing we were screaming about early in the season, he secures the football.
Catches the football.
When he catches the football. All right, the Eagles will be out for revenge on Sunday when they meet a Seattle Seahawks team they haven't been able to solve. Just how different will this matchup be this time? We will discuss it as we wrap the show up.
Today.
Right now, be sure to check out Best of the Decade series on NBC Sports Philadelphia and the My Teams app. Our Reuben Frank reveals the best plays of the Birds over the last 10 years and his all decade team. Right now, the next time the Eagles play will be in a new decade, and they will face the Seahawks after the new year. But it was just 6 weeks ago Russell Wilson and company came in here and beat the Birds. Will this be an even tougher match this time around?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I think it's going to be a little easier because the Seahawks, when they came in here the last time, were on a 6. They had won 6 out of 7. They came in here hot.
Yep.
Right now, they've lost 3 out of 4. You know, and Russell Wilson at that time, we were talking about him as the MVP. He was 22 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's cooled off a lot since then. So actually, and they've lost all their running backs. So right now, I actually think the Eagles are maybe a little better off than they were the last time they saw this team.
2 things that worry me: Jadeveon Clowney facing the right side of the Eagles line, especially if your guy Lane Johnson doesn't play.
Right.
And of course, Russell Wilson's ability to buy time. And Tyler Lockett is getting healthy, and you got DK Metcalf on the other side. That kid's emerged to be a beast in his first year in the NFL. I do agree with you. I think the Eagles, because they know this team now, it's going to be a little bit easier to prepare for them. But you got to play the game. You got to play the game.
And the Seahawks are 7-1 on the road.
Yes, that's huge. That's a wrap for Quick Slants presented by Nissan. For my man, Ray Didinger, I'm Derrick Gunn. Thanks for hanging out with us. See you next time.